Hey people, Mike Martins here with the Mike Martins channel. And welcome to part 3 of our God Files series. Today, we will look at how almost everything that exists is a result of God's command, indicating that the universe is not random, but is a product of divine order. And we will cover Bible prophecies, some of which have already been fulfilled, while others are still anticipated to be fulfilled in the future. We have an overview of both categories. The concept of God speaking the world into existence is primarily derived from the biblical account of creation found in the book of Genesis. According to Genesis chapter 1, God created the world and everything in it through the power of His Word. This means that God didn't use physical tools or materials, but instead spoke commands, and by the authority and power of His words, things came into being.
Here's a breakdown of how this is described in Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Genesis 1:1. The Bible opens with a declaration that God is the creator of everything. Before anything existed, God was, and He is the source of all creation.
The power of God's Word. Throughout Genesis chapter 1, the phrase "and God said" is repeated several times. Each time God speaks, something new is created.
Light. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis 1:3. Sky. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Genesis 1:6. Land and seas. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. Genesis 1:9. Vegetation. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. Genesis 1:11. Sun, moon, and stars. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years." Genesis 1:14. Living creatures. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." Genesis 1:20. Humankind. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." Genesis 1:26. Creation by command.
The consistent pattern in Genesis is that God speaks, and whatever He commands comes into existence. The power of God's Word is absolute. His will is enacted simply by Him speaking it. The significance. This method of creation emphasizes God's omnipotence, His all-powerful nature. It also highlights the idea that creation is purposeful and intentional, reflecting God's will and wisdom. Everything that exists is a result of God's command, indicating that the universe is not random, but is a product of divine order. This concept is foundational to Christian theology, illustrating that God is the sovereign creator of all things, and His Word is powerful and effective. Words as evidence of being made in God's image.
The Bible presents the idea that humans are created in the image of God, as stated in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. One way to interpret this is to consider the unique capacity humans have for language. In the Bible, God is depicted as using words to create the universe. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. The ability to use words to create, communicate, and express thoughts is a reflection of the divine nature within us. God's use of words in creation shows the power and significance of language. When we use words to create ideas, express love, or seek truth, we are participating in a divine act. Our ability to think and speak with words can be seen as a reflection of God's creative and communicative nature. This connection suggests that our capacity for language is not just a random evolutionary development, but rather a deliberate aspect of being made in the image of a God who speaks and creates.
In summary, words are essential to both our communication with others and our internal thought processes. They are a reflection of the divine nature within us, showing that we are made in the image of a God who values language and uses it as a powerful tool for creation and connection. Nature and creation. Creation itself reveals God's existence and attributes, making him accessible to all. By observing the natural world, people can gain a sense of God's power, creativity, and divine order. Key verse. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Romans chapter 1, verse 20. This shows that God's nature is evident in the world around us.
Prayer and worship. Prayer. God has made himself accessible through prayer, allowing people to communicate directly with him. Through prayer, individuals can seek God's guidance, express their needs, and build a personal relationship with him. Worship is another way in which people can draw near to God and experience his presence.
Major prophecies believed to have been fulfilled. The birth of Jesus, Messiah. Prophecy. The Old Testament foretold the coming of a Messiah, who would be born of a virgin in Bethlehem and would be a descendant of King David. Fulfillment. Christians believe these prophecies were fulfilled with the birth of Jesus Christ. Relevant scriptures include Isaiah 7:14, "Behold, a virgin shall conceive," and Micah 5:2, foretelling Bethlehem as the birthplace. The destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Prophecy. In the Gospels, Jesus predicts the destruction of the Jerusalem temple. Fulfillment. This prophecy is believed to have been fulfilled in 70 AD when the Romans destroyed the Second Temple. See Matthew 24, 1-2 for reference.
The scattering of the Jewish people. Prophecy. Various Old Testament prophecies, for example Deuteronomy 28:64, predicted that the Jewish people would be scattered among the nations. Fulfillment. Historically, the Jewish diaspora occurred after the destruction of the Second Temple and has continued over centuries. The regathering of Israel. Prophecy. Several prophecies speak of the Jewish people being regathered to their land, for example, Ezekiel 37:21-22. Fulfillment. Many believe this prophecy began to be fulfilled with the establishment of the modern state of Israel in 1948.
Major prophecies believed to be yet to be fulfilled. The second coming of Christ. Prophecy. The New Testament, particularly in the Gospels and the book of Revelation, speaks of Jesus Christ returning to judge the living and the dead. Expectation. Christians await this future event, which they believe will bring an end to the current world order and establish God's kingdom. See Matthew 24:30-31 and Revelation 19:11-16. The rise of a global leader, Antichrist. Prophecy. The Bible, especially in Daniel and Revelation, predicts the rise of a global leader who will oppose God and deceive many. Expectation. This figure, often called the Antichrist, is expected to arise before the end times, leading a period of great tribulation. Relevant scriptures include 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4 and Revelation 13:1-8.
The Battle of Armageddon, Prophecy Revelation 16:16, describes a final battle between the forces of good and evil, culminating in God's ultimate victory. Expectation. This is often interpreted as a literal or symbolic end-time conflict that will precede the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. The New Heaven and New Earth prophecy. Revelation 21-22 describes a new heaven and a new earth, where God will dwell with humanity, and there will be no more suffering or death. Expectation. Christians believe that after the final judgment, God will renew creation, bringing about eternal peace and righteousness. The resurrection of the dead, prophecy. The Bible predicts that at the end of time, all the dead will be resurrected and judged by God. Expectation. This belief is central to Christian eschatology, with references found in 1 Corinthians 15:52 and Revelation 20:12-13.
These fulfilled and unfulfilled prophecies are central to the biblical narrative and continue to shape the beliefs and expectations of many Christians today. Hope you guys enjoyed video 3 of our God series. Thank you for watching and look forward to reading your comments. Mike Martins here. I have spoken.